Photography and videography are all about color, texture, depth, lighting, and all of that squished together is what creates your composition. I'm going to show you 5 simple things that you can do at home to take your photography to the next level. Welcome back to Bark and Jack, I'm Adrian, and today I'm going to show you a few things that I think will really help take your photography to the next level. By no means do I think that I'm the best photographer or Instagrammer or anything like that. Just when I do something, I really like to focus on improvement. I've been doing watch photography for probably about 7 years now. It started off as just documenting things, but now it's transitioned to something that I really try and be artistic about. Trying to capture a bit of a story, a bit of an atmosphere, a bit of adventure around my shots. And so as I've done that, I thought I may as well share with you the little tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way. This video is sponsored by barkandjack.shop. Over at barkandjack.shop, we've just had a new delivery of our whiskey shell cordovan leather straps. Jump over to barkandjack.shop to check out the straps. So the 5 things that we're going to look at today are the composition, the depth, the color, the lighting, and details. The first one is composition, and although composition encompasses everything, it starts off with what are you trying to capture? What is the actual focus of your shot? And are you trying to just document it? Is it just a matter of, I want to take a sharp photograph of this item, or do I want to create a story and an atmosphere around the shot? For me, when it comes to product photography, which is essentially what I am doing, I want to do more than what is just seen in a catalog. I don't want to take a catalog shot. I don't want to take a marketing shot. I want to take a shot that I feel represents the brand that I now have, Bark and Jack. So my composition is going to be this watch here. I've got some new straps in, so I need to take some product shots of this watch. I want to show off the watch head because a watch head is going to be the main focus of the shot because that's what people enjoy. There are very few people who follow watch straps. So the eye-catching thing will be the watch head. The watch strap is also secondary in real life. When you're wearing a watch, the strap is often secondary to the watch itself. So within the shot, I want the strap to be secondary. I want people to look at the watch and think, oh, that's a great looking watch. And it's framed nicely by this strap. Now that's the subject. So the watch and the strap are the subject of the shot. That doesn't make up the composition. So the story that I want around that shot is someone at home relaxing, drinking a coffee and just chilling out. So the question that you should be asking yourself when thinking about the composition is, what is the story that I'm trying to create here? What atmosphere do I want to give, and how am I going to do that? The next thing you want to think about is depth, and that's why the wrist shots are so popular within the watch community, because that naturally gives depth. You've got your wrist up here with the watch on it. Under the wrist, you're going to have a good few feet, creating the depth and having that nice out of focus area, therefore framing your shot quite nicely. When thinking about depth, you don't just want to think about creating a blurry background, but create a blurry foreground as well. You want to kind of capture a 3D, or make the photograph feel like it's 3D, make it feel like real life, because that is what real life is. It's not just a flat lay. We have multiple layers of things that are going on, and that's what you want to create in your shot, to kind of give it a bit of a cinematic feel to it. To create depth in the foreground, it's very easy to just bring in a plant or bring in a coffee mug. I often have a coffee mug in my shot, and the rim of the mug is very often out of focus, therefore giving me a little bit of depth. When taking a shot side on, it's very easy to get out of focus areas in the foreground because you can just bring things forward. They can be so out of focus that you can't tell at all what it is, but it's still adding to that depth within the shot, therefore adding to the scene. When it comes to color, think about contrasting colors, so opposite colors. This mug, I usually have a white mug, but this mug will contrast very nicely with my orange strap. You can also think about repetition of colors, so multiple shades of the same color can create an image that gives off a slightly poetic feel. Look out for colors that clash. For example, I really dislike greens, I really dislike reds, so I try really hard not to actually have green and not to have reds within my shots. I like to take wrist shots with the cuff showing to add a bit of color or non-color into the photograph, and that's why I quite often wear a grey jumper, is because it's a neutral color. If I were to wear maroon or blue or any other color, it would clash, or it could potentially clash with the shot. So when it comes to lighting, I usually think about lighting last. I think about the composition, I think about the colors, I think about what the framing is going to be, and then I look at the lighting. And because I have such a large softbox, I can manipulate that light to help my shot. But anyone can do this. You can just use a nice big window. Just make sure that it's a nice overcast day and you have this really soft light coming through. You don't need to have a massive softbox. Like all of these points that I've mentioned, the main thing is just to think about it. And analyze that image that you see on your screen. Is this the shot that I want? Is the light doing what I want it to do? If they're not right, just change it. When it comes to the watch, if you're shooting dead on and the crystal and the dial are black, for me, I feel it's quite clinical close and it doesn't feel inviting or atmospheric. Equally, if the dial is completely blown out by the light and you can't see any of it, then it's a pointless shot. It's a wasted shot. What I like to do is I like to have a little touch of reflection just bouncing off, preferably at an angle, either the top or left corner of the glass. For me, it just adds a sense of atmosphere about the watch. It shows a level of imperfection with the shot because the reflection is there. It makes a shot feel a little more organic, despite the fact the reflection isn't organic at all. It's purposely put in there. If you have reflections that are annoying you, then use bits of card to manipulate the reflection. You can even cut a hole in the card and shoot through it. The final thing that you need to think about are the details. I'm going to say details / composition because we're kind of rounding back to the composition idea. So you've thought about your initial composition, you've thought about the depth, thought about the colors, you thought about the lighting. You need to look at this shot now and think, is this the actual shot that I want? Is now the time that I press click, now that I have all of these other things in place? When I say detail, I mean fine details. For example, don't just look at the subject, but everything in the shot. Is this what you want to capture? For example, in this shot, although it's out of focus and very far in the background, I can see the red of the Swiss Army knife that's in my mug on the windowsill. I don't want that red there. The hands on the watch, I don't want them all bunched together. Equally, I don't want them in a frowny face. I don't want them to look like they're unhappy hands. So I'm going to put them at 10 and 2. I'm also going to wait for the second hand to just get into the light ever so slightly. I want to see the glistening on the second hand. The hands are things that I often forget about along with bezel alignment, but another thing that I often forget about and I spend ages editing afterwards is dust. Always think about dust. Just give the watch a little final wipe before you take this shot. So guys, these are my 5 tips. Really think about your composition and the story that you're trying to tell within your shot. When it comes to depth, think about stuff that you can add in the background and in the foreground that adds to the atmosphere of the watch, but just bring things to life and make it feel a bit more cinematic. When it comes to colors, make sure that everything in the shot is working together, that they're either contrasting colors or they're various shades, a repetition of the colors. When it comes to lighting, make sure you have a big light source, a nice big open window, and that the reflections are doing what you want them to do. If they aren't, move the watch, manipulate the reflections. Then the final point is the fine details. It's basically recapping. It's looking at the image and making sure, yes, this is the image that I want, rather than getting it into editing software and realizing that there's an annoying red pen in the background or annoying fluorescent highlighter in the background and you need to edit that out and you figure out you can't edit it out. It's just ruin the whole image and you have to go start again and it's just a complete pain in the arse. I want to give a quick shout out to people who influence me and inspire me with regards to photography. So I'm a massive fan of Peter McKinnon, his style and his colours. The Watch Dude 2 for his use of colour and adventure within his shots. A Collected Man and their use of lighting. And Collector.101 for his use of colour and moodiness. Guys, I hope you found these little tips useful. And drop a little comment down below if you can think of anything else that other people should know about. If you decide to be creative with your time at home now and try and play around some of these tips and you post them on Instagram, just do #BarkandJack so I can see them. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to check out our new straps, jump over to barkandjack.shop. If you're on Instagram, you can follow my watch page at barkandjack and you can follow my photography page at IamBarks. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.